So I was eagerly watching this auction. I'm going to steal this. I'm going to steal this 458, and I'm going to show Freddie Atkins he's not the only one with a Venaccia 458. And then doing a YouTube channel where I'm sort of stood in the thumbnail going, I bought the UK's cheapest 458.
It's more about the kind of like stardom of the car. Like it kind of needs to be the right type of car. It kind of needs to matter. What does the car originate from? Even GT3 RS, a mental car. For me, I still class that as a sports car. It's not a supercar to me.
Welcome back to the Ottano podcast. We're here with episode 7 and your hosts once again, myself, TJ, I have Elliot over here and Ben. And we've got a pretty cool lineup once again to be discussing. We're going to be talking what's the best bang for buck supercar out there. I think that's something we're all been thinking about as we're seeing the market moving. Where can you still find a well-priced supercar? I think that's an important topic that often comes up, especially as we're hanging out and discussing with members. Another topic that frequently appears is, has the US market gone mad? And we'll be looking at some of the recent sales in the US market and discussing whether it's gone completely crazy. And then finally, we're going to be talking the worst performance cars we've ever driven. So we've got a pretty interesting set of topics to be discussing today. But to kick things off, as usual, we'll be talking about our week with cars or around cars. And some weeks we're doing a lot with cars. Other weeks we're waiting for cars to be fixed. And so you could also call this segment the Gearbox update segment, because Ben and I have been trying to get both gearboxes on 2 very different cars sorted. So Ben, what's the update with your gearbox?
Update this week, good news, as in good news relative, because there was a span of bills that I could have been expecting. Either it was $2.5 grand best case scenario, or a $6 to $7 grand bill worst case scenario for a full new gearbox, which fortunately I don't need. So I'm very grateful that actually it's just the hydraulic pump in the DSG gearbox, and so they are replacing that. A company called Eco Torque near Luton. The nice place that Luton is, but apparently they've got some good gearbox specialists there. And so yeah, not much more to report beyond the fact that the May coffers are doing a little bit better than I had feared.
Well, that's good. That's good. And then
that is good news.
So you're going to sort the car out and then it's going up for sale pretty quickly, or what's the plan with the Golf R?
It's already actually for sale. I figured I'll put it for sale. The gearbox will be done and I'll go and pick it up next week, and we'll see what type of leads I get on it. But I've probably put it on a little bit strong in terms of money wise, but I figured, well, if I don't get any bites in the first week, I don't have the car with me this week anyway, so it's not a big issue. But everything else on the car is prepped and ready for sale. It's just the gearbox that needed to be done. So as soon as I get it back, I'll probably make the price a bit more competitive, and then it will probably be gone.
Very good. Okay, so updates on the Golf R. I've been, as I said in the last podcast, sourcing rare parts for my Toyota FJ40 gearbox. I found the Synchro hub in Iran and it came over. It's arrived at the gearbox specialists. And I've then had to source a second gear because the second gear from sort of being where it was grinding, apparently the teeth have become worn down. So the specialist was like, can you get a second gear? And my guy in Iran didn't have the right second gear. So I found it in the States, in California, but they wouldn't post it internationally. Which is frustrating. I was like, can you not just, send it in the international post to the UK? They were like, no, we only ship to US addresses. I was like, okay. So I've shipped it to a relative in Texas. They then went to ship it to me, and the quickest they could do by DHL was $230 for a $70 second gear part.
Oh,
so I've spent $230 because the next cheapest was $130, but it was a 2-week delivery. So I'm not going to save $130 for the car to be sat for 2 weeks outside a gearbox specialist. So sometimes you're at the mercy of shippers when you're trying to find parts. But the US is also frustrating in some ways because it's so expensive to ship stuff out of the US if you want it quickly. So there we go. Gearbox, the drama continues. It's not solved yet, and we'll keep the weekly Gearbox update going, and hopefully no other gearboxes go wrong. In the meantime, it'll become a much larger segment, I think, as the podcast develops. Just transmission faults. But there we go.
Yeah. Touch
Transmission
wood,
faults.
my gearbox is still working, so that's good news. And I'm knocking on wood right now just to be safe, so I don't get jinxed. But yeah, my weekly update is not gearbox related, or I guess it is in some way, in that I am looking for a manual car. So yeah, still been on the hunt for a good Hyundai i30N to replace my Audi A3. Been looking a bit more, been looking on a daily basis now. Main thing that I'm trying to decide is my favorite color on that car is actually the performance blue, the standard kind of ice blue looking color. But my wife really doesn't like it, and she has to give me the nod of approval, given that she's also got to drive the car. So she's vetoed that color, which has then sent me back to the drawing board. And I've been a bit like stuck. I was sent my brother some cars, being like, what do you think of this one? Sent Ben one car that I was like, what do you think of this color? And fortunately, I've got ChatGPT to be able to change the black wheels to silver on all of the cars that I've been looking at. And I spoke to a very nice dealer up in Yorkshire, not far from Cubic Cars, actually. He knew Rob at Cubic Cars, so
Oh, cool.
we had a mutual friend in Rob, which is cool. But yeah, I spoke to a dealer about a shadow grey one, which is like a sort of like a light grey, solid grey colour, which
It's like a Nardo grey.
it's a bit
almost
like Nardo grey. I actually don't normally like that colour, but I think it actually looks quite good on the car. So I'm considering that. I don't really want a black one, just simply because the last 4 cars I've owned have all been black.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm a bit bored of doing black. So
Yeah, I'm not a fan of black cars. I'm not a fan of black. That's just me though. I love some color on a car.
Yeah,
You
I
own
mean,
a
I
black
think it
car,
does look
Tej.
good. Yeah.
I don't have a black car.
The Range Rover.
No, it's midnight blue. It's blue. It's dark blue.
Dark blue. Yeah.
It
Maybe
looks
the
black
paint,
when you see it in the dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the paintwork's so faded it now no longer has the blue
I knew
shine
you did.
anymore.
You have to catch it on a very sunny day, and you'll see it. You'll see how vibrant it is.
Yeah. So I think not black, possibly grey. And then I've been looking at basically getting the Audi priced up, which, to be honest, I've never used Motorway before, but I used Motorway to get some initial quotes, and very good, very easy actually. It just gives you like you take loads of pictures, put all the details in, and then it gives you a baseline price of you'll get this amount or more, and are you happy to go into auction and accept this or more?
Yeah.
So so that was I think that's going to be the easy way to sell it. So that's probably the way I'll do it. The only thing that I think the timing of this has all come a little bit poorly, because on Thursday I have to drive to Belgium for a wedding in the Audi. So I'm then going to put probably 1,000 miles on the car, or near to 1,000 miles on the car, and it's also due for its first MOT as of the 1st of September. So I've timed this all a bit badly. So I'm going to hope when I get back from Belgium, I can reprice it up and someone will still buy it without, with less than a month of MOT, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how we get on. I might have to hold on a bit longer, but we'll have to see what happens.
I think dealers are okay with that with a newer car.
Yeah.
I think if you're selling it to a private person, they probably want you to put a new MOT on it. But I think dealers can take that, and sort it themselves. But interestingly, selling, because I had a Mercedes GLB 220D SUV, which I bought used from a Mercedes dealer, and I tried to sell it privately and literally just got nothing. but like no bites for it. I think I priced it in line with what the market was pricing these things at. And then I went down the motorway route because I was like, is it possible to sell cars that cost 26 to 25 grand upwards privately, on Auto Trader? I'm not sure it's very easy to do that because of financing and all of that.
I think you've got to have a special car. I've sold cars. I sold my Audi S1 like I don't know how many years ago, but quite a while back.
Yeah.
Which I sold for 20 grand. So admittedly not quite as much, but that was on Auto Trader and it sold very quickly. And it was super easy. Guy from Leeds came down with his wife, picked up the car a couple of days later. So yeah, I think
so
it's
you've got
possible,
something a little bit more rare to find or something. It's possible.
I think so. Yeah. The thing is, the motorway is that like you've got a network of about 6,000 dealers out there. Someone out there is going to pay too much money. Out of 6,000 people, someone's going to pay too much money.
That's the hope.
I think that's how the model works. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, the money that I've been offered in motorway, I think it's strong money anyway, but I'm not going to say no to it. So, yeah.
Well, the only thing, Elliot, is that it might, having used motorway a few times, that will be almost the minimum price that if it goes for beneath it, you'll still get offers, but you won't be sort of obliged to sell it for above that price. So the first time I used motorway, I got exactly what they quoted me for, which I was very happy with. And I hope the same scenario for you. When I sold a 2019 X5, a really nice X40i, and it had 7 seats, so it was very rare, and it had a really nice sort of color combination as well. Motorway said 35, and all the offers I got were beneath 35, so I didn't have to basically immediately sell it, but I obviously took the slightly lower offer. So you may not get that.
That's good to know.
But hopefully you get as close to, or you do get it.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that the dealer that I spoke to gave me a rough part exchange price, which wasn't far off what Motorway said anyway. So,
perfect.
Worst case scenario, I could probably just take that, and I'll still get my equity out of it.
So why don't you just say to the dealer that let's just get the deal done. I don't know how far apart it is from the motorway price, and then just get him when you're back from Belgium to just deliver it and just switch over the cars. I've done that before. Just one truck drops the car off and they pick up the other car.
Yeah, I could do. To be honest, I've had so much going on that, and with this Belgian trip looming, I've kind of not had time to get it sorted beforehand. So now I need to wait and see what the mileage is when I get back, so I can give him the final mileage of the car and give Motorway a proper, put it through Motorway, see what I can actually get as a final price. Just in case I do get more than that, and then and then go from there and basically make a decision. So, and also the one I'm looking at might be sold by the time I get back from Belgium. That's the market. So you never know. But yeah, I'm sure there's a deal to be had there. I didn't even discuss that with him when I first spoke to him, just because I wasn't ready to go ahead then and there. And I don't believe in messing dealers around until you're ready to actually buy the car. So, just asked him a few questions about the car itself and stuff like that, and him as the dealer and things like that, and then just said, look, I'm full transparency, I'm probably not going to be able to do anything till next week, but I'll if the car's gone, so be it. If not, then maybe we can do a deal. So let's see what happens.
Interesting. Nice. Speaking of dealers and spending and dealers buying cars for more than they're worth, Rob Cubitt at the Logbook, we should get him to come on the podcast and share the woes of being a UK car dealer and give us a bit of an insight into the market. I think that's something that's got to happen soon. So we should line up Rob to come on the podcast. For those of you listening who don't know who he is, go check him out, the Logbook. He came on our April tour this year to the Pyrenees, and he did a full video of the tour. So probably many of you have seen that or know who he is, but some of you won't. But he'll be a a good person to actually have on the podcast. So we'll get him booked in to join the Ottano pod at some point.
Yeah. Well, he said he's happy to come on. So Rob, if you're listening to this podcast, then you've already been scheduled in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the only other thing this week that I've been looking at with cars is I saw a 458 Ferrari Italia come up for auction on Car and Classic, and it was in a very rare shade of red called, I think, Vernaccia red. So it's sort of like a maroon burgundy type of color. Nice. And there's a influencer, a British influencer called Freddie Atkins. TFJJ is his handle, and he's got a lot of followers. He's quite well known. He has a 458 in this exact shade, and he posted about it this week, and I commented, I was like, there's one for auction, but it's Cat S. And I love looking at Cat S and category cars in general, because I'm always curious, how much are they going to sell for at a discount to a non-category car, right? So I was eagerly watching this auction. I can't afford a 458 at the moment, nor can I afford a Cat S 458 at the moment. But I was there watching this auction, dreaming like, I'm going to steal this. I'm going to steal this 458, and I'm going to show Freddie Atkins he's not the only one with a Vernaccia 458. And so I commented, and he was like, "Yeah, it's the only other car in the UK in the same color." And he was like tempted to buy it as well as a second car. But it went for 80 grand, which I think is strong money for a Category S. It's a structural damage repaired Ferrari. So someone's binned it at some point, and it's been repaired. And it was a little bit ropey, to be honest. You could tell in the photos it had some lacquer peeling. You've got to remember, a 458 now, it was what, a 13, 14-year-old car, and this one looked like it needed a little bit of love. But yeah, anyways, I was going down a bit of a dreaming rabbit hole of owning a Category 458 and buying one, and then doing a YouTube channel where I'm sort of stood in the thumbnail going, I bought the UK's cheapest 458. And then it getting sort of 5 million views and it paying for itself. That was my my strange little vision I had this week, and none of it came to fruition. So I'm sat here talking about it on a podcast. But there we go.
I'd like to see that video. That. You just sold it to me with that thumbnail.
So you've sold it to me on the thumbnail, but the reality is that the last car you bought to try and redo was a £1,000 Jimny.
Yeah, that's still sat in your driveway without any arches and a bunch of rust showing.
Do you know what? That one, I think I bit off more than I can chew with the when the seller said has a little bit of rust, and then I looked underneath it and I was like, this is a little bit more than was expected.
Rust bucket.
But no, I will have that car back on the road one day, but I can't weld myself, so someone needs to help. If anyone listening is a good welder or knows a good welder, drop in the comments and I'll be in touch. But anyways, that's our eclectic week of car issues and fun with cars. But let's jump into the main topic today, which is what's the best bang for buck supercar. I think before we even start, getting into some examples, talking about prices, I'd love to hear from Elliot and Ben, what actually makes a supercar for you? Like, what is it in your mind? Because I don't think there's a clear-cut set of rules on this is what a supercar is. I think that definition can be sort of somewhat personal. So what would you guys say is, makes for a supercar for you?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good point. There isn't a clear definition. There isn't it needs to have this much horsepower and this much, whatever, or this big of a price tag. It's actually more, I don't know, for me, it's a bit more it's more about the kind of stardom of the car. Like, it kind of needs to be the right type of car. It kind of needs to matter whether it, what does the car originate from? So, for example, the best example for me is even GT3 RS, which is nowadays a mental car. For me, I still class that as a sports car. It's not a supercar to me. I think
Mm.
partly because it starts off as a standard Carrera, which is, inherently a sports car. Like a 911 has always been a sports car. So I'm not really sure you can ever call a 911 a supercar. Maybe there's one exception to that in the 911 GT1 they made many years ago, which is based off the 996 platform, but is more like a Le Mans prototype than it is like a standard 996. So I think 911s can never be supercars necessarily.
Yeah.
I think supercars need to have the sort of wow factor. Then they need to have some figures to back that up. Then they need to be noisy, flashy. And I think the brand name needs to be there as well. But it is a little bit, it's a little bit up for debate. I think I've got a couple of options for this question. So, and one of them I'm not even sure if I would count as a supercar. So we'll see. We'll see what you guys think about it.
Interesting. If you're not sure if it's a supercar, then I've got two choices, and I think one of mine, I'm not sure if people would classify it as, but I think it's best bang for buck.
Yeah.
I think it's very simple. I think it needs to have a sense of occasion when you get in it, and you know when a car has a sense of occasion when you get in it, and when it doesn't. And that for me is like what defines it. And it's really weird because you can get in a much cheaper car. I remember like my Gran Turismo gave me the vibes of being a supercar. And it, well, back then they were more expensive when I bought one. But nowadays you can pick one up for 20 grand. But, you're not going to get the same sense of occasion getting into an F80 M3, which you can also pick up for 20 grand. Doesn't have the same noise, doesn't have the same smell in the leather, which I think is particularly nice in Italian cars. They do that very well. But yeah, sense of occasion for me. And I think noise, I think it needs to you need to look back at the car and be like, yeah, that's a good looking car. But for me, that's key.
That's a great shout. I think supercars turn heads when you drive down the street. I think you can tell whether something's a special supercar if you've got anyone in the street turning around to look at you as you're going past, which to be honest, I hate that. I hate being in a car where everyone's looking at you, but I think that's what a supercar should do.
I think Ben obviously feels differently about that, given he has an orange Lotus Exige.
So you know what's strange? Like how that car gets so much attention. I literally have kids standing next to it taking pictures. I have kids like running up, like filming it. They'll see it coming and then they'll whip their phone out and they'll film it as I go past because it sounds like a supercar when you're on it, and it looks like a baby supercar. A lot of people do debate with the Exige, is it basically a baby supercar? I think the only thing that doesn't really make it a supercar is the price point.
And the interior.
And the interior, but no one can see that from the outside.
Only I can see it.
Only I can see that. But you definitely get the same attention. I remember when I had my Ferrari, it's not a dissimilar amount. Actually, I would say I get more attention because it's orange.
Yeah. That FF was a beautiful car though. I do miss that. It was such a cool spec. Very unique spec.
It's an understated Ferrari too. I can imagine that actually doesn't draw huge amounts of attention in that way, but to a car person, it's a refined, elegant, choice when you see a FF driving down the street. Yeah, interesting. So Elliot's sort of talking about, a supercar needs to sit within its own sort of category in the lineup. It shouldn't kind of derive from what is, a sports car. And Ben's talking about how it makes you feel, how it, the occasion, the sound. I think it's clear that there's no sort of like clear black and white definition, right, of what a supercar is. I sort of agree with both of you. I think it needs to be a car which was clearly designed to be special, and to make people feel something different about this car versus the other cars they produce, perhaps. And so it's a bit of a blurred line between when a sports car becomes a supercar or not. But yeah, I think I think that's it's up for debate, obviously.
Let
But what?
me give you
Yeah.
guys the one that I'm not sure about,
Okay.
and let's have a quick
All right.
debate about it, because I think this one, I think, like some of the things I've already mentioned, it falls into those categories, but I think some people would also class it as a supercar. So the
Okay.
one that I was thinking about, and this is also, just for the record, this is a great bang for buck car in my opinion. Maybe not a supercar, is the Mercedes AMG GTR.
Ooh.
So looks evil. You can get it in
Yeah.
Green Hell Magno, which is a matte green, bright green paint that is named after the Green Hell, aka the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Right.
Sounds the part, sounds like a supercar, looks like a supercar, but is derived from an AMG GT, which is, you know,
Which is a
basically a
sports car.
911 sports car rival.
Yeah.
So currently, I think you can pick a good one up for basically about 100k, which I think, I know 100k is no small amount of money, and I certainly can't afford that. But if you've got 100 grand to spend on a car, then I think that is a very good bang for buck car. But is it a supercar?
Oof. As in okay, so the thing about that car is that the AMG GT is very, I think it's only held back by the brand name. It's a bit like with an Audi R8 was held back by the brand name. But I think both of those cars in their own right, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Because if you'd asked me, is the Audi R8 a supercar? I actually think it is a supercar. And I think a lot of people categorize it as a sports car. But I think because it's mid-engine, and particularly the V10 variant, I think it's got a different enough engine. Whereas this is front engine, not mid-engine. It's V8, and it's got the marquee against it. I'm not sure, even though I love that car. Are they 100 grand now? I thought they were 85.
Yeah, they're
No,
about
they're 100 grand.
So,
sometimes a bit over. There's one for 125 in that green.
Yeah.
Currently, but that's been on the market for quite a few months because I've seen it.
I think just I mean, it's a brilliant bang for buck car, but I'm inclined to agree with you, Ben. I'm not actually sure it's a supercar. But I think the R8 is a great example, right? I think for me, original R8, first gen R8, sports car. But when they developed into the V10 only models, the new model of the R8, I think that then became supercar territory. Which I would say pretty confidently that R8 is a supercar. And I think the whole hypercar thing has kind of blurred the line a little bit. But for me, R8 is a supercar. AMG GT, I think it's the whole thing of it being derived from a standard AMG GT, which, I mean, ultimately it's called a GT. You know, it's more of a GT car originally.
Yeah.
So sort of naturally it's a sports car, is it not?
What about the Black Series?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean,
that's like another level. It's like GT3, like equivalent, but almost on steroids as well, because even rarer.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard not to call that a supercar, isn't it? So I think maybe it is. I don't know. It's probably, probably on the fence.
I think with the AMG GTR, the fact that you can basically control the traction control as if you're turning up the volume on your stereo, that's quite special. There's not many sports cars. In fact, I can't think of any sports cars where you can do that. So it's got some interesting things going for it. It clearly sits as quite a special model in the AMG, in the AMG GT lineup. So I personally would, if I see that car on the street, I think supercar, and it's got the spoiler as well, and I think it's a great looking car.
Here's a good question for you. If you have to think about it, does that immediately not make it a supercar? Should your gut feel? Well,
that's a good point.
If you see a if you see a Revuelto going down the road, you don't think, is that a supercar?
Yeah, you don't
You
wait
just
for
know
you
that's
don't
a
you
supercar.
don't wait for the badge at the back to check. Does it have the yellow R on the back? Oh,
Doesn't
yeah, it's a
even matter if you
supercar.
don't know what it is. You go, that's a supercar.
Yeah.
So if you have to think about it, maybe it isn't a supercar.
Well, that's kind of the same with 911, like you said, because with people that don't know 911s, they sort of have to go look at what does it say at the back. Oh, it says GT. Oh, yeah, that's the GT 3. Oh, that means it's the supercar one. You like, but when a Lamborghini or even, most Ferraris go by, you never think that. You just think, wow, Lamborghini, Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, that makes the case for getting those cars in outrageous colors. If you're going to get something that's on the fence, just get it in the green Magno hell color, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine, because then people will turn around and look at it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
very true.
Good point.
Well, there you go.
So, Ben, what was yours, Ben? Why don't we move on and hear your suggestion?
I've got 3. I'll quickly rattle through them. I think F430, good value for money right now. Still, I think, given that the scuds have moved up to ludicrous prices, you never see, whilst there is a big gap, and there always will be, that gap used to be 180 grand to 100 grand at one point. Now it's 400 grand. I'm not saying they're actually selling for that much, but 400 grand's advertised price, to some of them are 75, 80 grand. And I think that, that has to change one direction or the other.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the 430 is going to go up massively, but I think also that the manuals are now more than 200K as well. I think that car is probably going to level out at around 100K, and with 458s going up closer to 140, 150 now, I think at 75 grand, your money is very safe in that car, and it has all the characteristics of a supercar.
458s have climbed even more, actually. There's only a couple of Italias on the market, one of which is about 150K, but it's not a great spec, and it's leggy, and all of the others are over 200 now, even Italians.
Wait, 458 Italias are over 200K?
There's 2 white Italias. One is 208K. I looked yesterday. One is like 208K, and one is like 210K or something. And then all the spiders are now like 250. So
just have to wait. Just have to wait for
hang on to it.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think fourth. Also,
wait until someone bins one and try and buy a category one at auction again.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, I think 430.
I looked last year and I saw one for 118 grand.
Yeah.
It had 40,000 miles, but wow, you've done well. Like, I'm sure your dad's happy.
Because my dad bought his, I think, about 2 years ago, and it was a fairly low mileage car, but it's Rosso Corsa with Crema,
resale,
which I think is the best combination for resale for a 458. I mean, there's no Rosso Corsa Italias on the market, and I think it's for good reason. There were about 6 months ago, and they've all gone. So
wow.
I think if you've got one of those, just hang on to it. He doesn't, it's not a garage queen. It gets out there and drives a lot. I drive it a fair bit. He drives it a fair bit. So it'll have some miles on it, but the car's not, we didn't buy the car to make money. We bought the car to have fun. And ultimately, I think he'll probably end up being able to have a lot of fun with it and getting most of his money back, which is probably the dream scenario, isn't it? So I think it's a good car to buy. Not that he's looking to sell it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So there you go.
So 430, I like it. I think one of our members, who's actually hopefully joining us on our April trip next year, has got a Audi R8 GT. So this was the first gen variant. They did a stripped out lightweight version. I think it's only about 1,400 kilos. It was quite a significant weight saving over the standard R8. And they only made, I think, 333 of them, but only 33 came to the UK.
Yeah.
And it's basically a Superleggera, but the Audi variant, and given where Superleggera prices have gone to, and this is still an 80 grand car, and there's actually a live auction on this on Piston Heads. I don't know what it sold for, but it was up for about 80 to 85 grand, which I think was good bang for buck.
Yeah.
So that's my second one, and my third one. This is very off piste, and I don't think either of you would have thought about this, but I think the GTC Lusso, but the V8 variant is very good value right now, because the V12s, after the Pura Sangue and the debacle with the Luce, and people just realizing that maybe they're not going to be able to get another decent 4-seat sort of shooting brake, and Ferrari might not make another one of those. The V12s, they dipped down to about 130 at one point, and now they've gone up significantly. You know, I think they're mostly around the 170, 180 mark. If not higher, but the V8s have stayed in the sort of 100 to 120k mark when I last checked. And I think that as a driver's car, given it's the 2-wheel drive variant, it's actually got more torque, so the power is more usable at lower speed as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a great buy, and it's literally looks identical.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's always been quite a good value car, isn't it? And it's like, it seems to be a bit forgotten about, but I think I'm in agreement. I think if I was buying one of those cars, I probably would be buying the V8 version, like rear-wheel drive, lighter car. I think it's quite an attractive prospect, but feel like nobody really remembers it. So both really good shouts, I think.
No maintenance issue, because the PTU won't explode.
Exactly, yeah. As you know,
right?
Yeah.
The PTU is that's the front diff, is it?
Well, it's gearbox technically.
Oh, the powertrain you're talking about.
So with that car, with the V12 variant, they introduced 4-wheel drive, but they did it in Ferrari's own way, where they basically put a 2-speed gearbox on the front 2 wheels. So I think for the first 3 gears, it engages so that you can have additional traction, and can send about 25% of the power to the front 2 wheels. The only thing is that it's a bit temperamental, and when it goes, Ferrari will try and charge you about 25 grand to replace it. And so that's why FFs dipped to the price that they did at one point. They went down to 80 grand because people were so worried, and they do go on pretty much every car at some point. So you have to have either one that's had it replaced, or you have to have a Ferrari warranty on it continuously. And the same problem is there for the GTC 4 Lusso, the V12 variant. But the 2-wheel drive variant, which, as Elliot says, is the driver focus car, doesn't have that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Good shouts. Both good shouts. I think, both probably undervalued. I think 430 is a really good shout. I mean, I know that it's not, and it probably sits now a bit in the 458's shadow, right? Because the 458 was so good, and it was so highly praised when it came out. But 430 still has an epic engine. The gearbox, whilst the 458 moved the game along quite considerably, it's still not that bad. And there is actually something quite fun about having a single clutch flappy paddle gearbox, in that it gives you, like, you feel every gear and stuff like that, and I think there is something to enjoy in that. So I do agree that that's quite a good value car that maybe is a bit undervalued right now, and I think we'll see those start creeping up again as 458s especially the gap starts widening. So both two really good shouts. And
those were my Ben's top 2 were my 2 as well. So
really?
So in terms of a list, actually, that AMG, I thought about the AMG GTR as well. But I think it's it is getting hard to find good bang for buck in a Ferrari product now. So I think the F430 seems to represent some pretty good value. The only other car that crossed my mind, which is, I think, again, debatable as to whether this is really a supercar. It's a baby supercar, you could say, but Lotus Emira, I know the gearbox is not great in the auto, but you can get a manual for the V6, can't you? The
Yep.
supercharged V6, 3.5
Most were
liter
manual.
super. Most of those were manual, weren't they? Supercharged V6. For what is that? What do they cost? Is it 60K?
About
For one of those ones?
60K, yeah, about
Yeah.
60K.
I still think they're stunning looking cars. I think they do look like baby supercars. I think it will give you that sense of occasion, and people will look at you when you're driving down the street in one of those. It has that supercar presence, especially if you can get it in a cool color as well. They do a nice yellow in that color, which I think looks like a baby McLaren.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it's a sports car, but with baby supercar looks. So
yes,
but I do
fair.
feel like it's a sports car. But I agree that if you want something that looks like a supercar, it does have that presence. You're right. I mean, everyone calls it a baby supercar, the way it looks.
Yeah. I think there aren't many cars that do that. The only other car that I can think on the UK market right now that you can buy new that gives you that supercar vibe but is a sports car would be the C8 Corvette in the right color. Because the Z06 is a phenomenal car. But the standard one is definitely a sports car in my mind, but in the right color, I think a lot of people would just think, oh, that's a supercar driving down the road.
Yeah. That's probably fair. It's a fair comment.
Yeah. Corvette. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I've got two that I definitely think are supercars. That I think are quite good bang for buck right now. So the first one, which I think is very good bang for buck, there's one on the market which I've seen, which is hasn't been modified or anything, and it's a nice spec, and it's £120,000, just shy of. And it's
I know what you're going to say.
And it's the McLaren 650S Spider. I think they are definitely supercars. They look brilliant. I think the 650S is quite well for me. I think it's a really nice looking McLaren. I'm not a huge fan of the design language of some of the more modern ones. I think it sounds really good. It's supposed to be a fantastic driver's car. It's a McLaren. It's got doors that go upwards, which I think also you only really get on the supercar. And I just think 120 grand is really good money. I mean, I guess if you're looking for a supercar for good value, you basically go McLaren, don't you? Because they all just tank in value. So it's quite a safe bet. But I do feel like 650S is one that is going to slowly get more and more expensive, because 675 LT is really in my opinion, the GOAT of modern McLarens. And they're obviously much more expensive, but 650S is sort of derived from that and allows you to have a convertible and still enjoy some of the same sensations as a 675 LT. So I thought that was a really good one. I think like it's super good value, and looks awesome.
Now you can buy those cars from I to be honest, I wouldn't buy one from a McLaren dealer. I'd buy one from Thorny Motorsport. Is the only place I'd buy that car from. Thorny Motorsport is now the go-to independent for McLarens, and they'll put a warranty on all of the cars that they sell. And you can renew that warranty every year with them, providing you service it with them for about £2,500. That's how confident they are that these cars are actually like reliable, but you just have to maintain them in the right way. And I think they got to a point where they got cheap, and then certain things on them would cost 5, 10, 15 grand that people didn't do them. And then they created bigger issues with those cars. So I think 120 grand now. Last time I looked, they were like 90 to 100, the 650S, so even the Spiders.
They're going up, and there's only two on the market, I think. So, or there's only a couple or so on the market. And one of those, as I said, is like stage 2 tuned or something, which yeah, I don't think you want to buy that car. So
Yeah, that's
sorry
not.
to whoever's trying to sell that, but yeah, I think you want to buy a stock car really. So yeah, not many. I think it's quite a good shout.
Nice, good
And
one.
I've got one more, which I think I definitely class this as a supercar, and I think it's quite cheap, to be honest. I mean, cheap is relative to the fact that we're talking about supercars here, but it is. It's a manual V10, and it's
Gallardo.
the original Gallardo, the 5-litre
Mm.
Gallardo. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
first gen Gallardo manual. That 5-litre V10 actually sounds incredible, and it's much more of a sort of high-pitched V10 noise than the later V10s that, you know, once they became more VW Audi group shared V10s. It sounds wicked. I think it's cool that you can get them in a manual. You wouldn't want one with the standard gearbox, the e-gear gearbox, because that's absolutely shocking. But there's one on the market in yellow. It's a yellow manual, and it's obviously a 4-wheel drive car with about 33,000 miles on it. It's a 2003, so it's an older car, but it's 70 grand, and I just feel like that's for a Lamborghini, a manual Lamborghini. I think
that does seem cheap.
I think that's good value. I mean, if you've got 70 grand in the bank, don't go and blow it all on that car, because you want to have some backup cash for spending on it. But if you've got 100 grand, you know, you might want to spend the 70 and just enjoy that as a supercar. I think it'll be fun to drive. It's a manual, which is rare to find for that kind of money. And it's a V10, which, you know, you'll love the noise. It's bright yellow. It will turn heads. You could take it to car shows, and people would love coming and chatting to you about it, and love to see the fact that, oh, cool, you've got a manual version. So yeah, I think it's quite a cool car.
I think that is a good segue into our next topic. Speaking of manual, rare editions of certain cars, first of a certain generation, last of a certain generation, we are talking about why the US market seems to go crazy for cars just like that, actually, right? Because if that car sold in the States, it wouldn't be the equivalent of £70,000 or $100,000 or something, would it? It would probably be a multiple of that. So why has the US market gone so mad in recent years? You could say even in the recent year, because you're seeing certain cars. I'll give you an example: a 993 Turbo, 1992, with 28,000 miles, sold for $2.1 million on Bring a Trailer. You know, cars that are of a particular, you know, generation. Obviously, that's an air-cooled turbo. And if it has exceptional provenance or rarity or a color, the market goes mad in the States. It just goes insane, and you can't put the maths together and figure out how on earth you can justify spending that sort of money. I think Ben shared a video earlier on in the week with me, which made me very happy, which was a 996 Turbo X50 manual. I think it was the same year as mine, 2002. It was red, Guards red. Mine is not Guards red. And the big difference is it's in the United States of America, where the prices go mad. And that one sold. Doug DeMuro was talking about this on his podcast. It went for 160 grand, which makes 996 Turbo owners very happy.
$160,000, right?
Yeah,
in dollars, right? So that's 130K, let's say, pounds. But again, that's strong. That's really strong. It wouldn't be close to that. It would be half that. It would be maybe a bit more than half that in the UK. But yeah, you know, there's way more extreme examples than that as well. I'm sure you guys can share a couple of things you've seen recently. But yeah, I suppose the question is, and we don't have to spend, you know, ages trying to dissect this, because we can also just say America is a crazy place in more ways than one, as we know. But yeah, some I suppose some quick takes on this. What do you guys think?
I think we need to do a fuller feature on this, because I'm not sure we can do it justice in 5 to 10 minutes today. But I'll just say there's a few like that I saw, and I sent it to you, TJ, because I just thought was nuts. But 458 prices, talking about those because we've already discussed them. There are dealers asking for $650,000. There are ones online right now, like regular 458 Italias for $650,000 in the US. I mean, that is not that they're selling at that. What's interesting is that that's what the advertised price is. But the ones that have actually sold recently there have been multiple examples above $400,000 in the US, regular 458s. I think that this is, people have got a bit carried away. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some manipulation in the auction market going on. It feels like cars are being put into auction, bid up, and there's something happening there behind the scenes to sort of inflate the values across the board. And one thing that the US know how to do very well is they know how to do hype. They can get everyone G'd up and excited about something, and I think that's going on. I think a lot of people are going to get burnt, and I think we'll look back in a year, and I'm not saying that certain models don't deserve to have appreciated, but I think there is a bit of euphoria in the market, which might, in 12 months, I think we'll see where things have actually settled. But I do think we should do a fuller piece on the US market because it is just nuts, and it's making things go nuts in the UK, not quite to the same extent, but they're annoying me.
Definitely seems like it is a bit wild. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't follow the US market that much because I kind of view it as quite different from the UK, and therefore it doesn't really matter. Some of the nonsense that goes on there with selling cars for silly money is just, I think, is just not going to happen here. But then we are somewhat following suit in some ways. So maybe it will become like that in the UK, and I really hope not, because I don't want people. I don't want it to be that the only people that can enjoy these cars are, millionaires and billionaires. I want car enthusiasts that aren't billionaires to still be able to enjoy these cars. So I hope it doesn't follow suit, but I'm somewhat confident that it won't. I think the UK market is quite different. I think the UK buyer is quite different. So I think we're a little bit safer than them in some regard, but I definitely think there are some cars in the UK that seemingly have followed suit a little bit, and they've gone a bit silly. But I think they'll come back to reality. And I think there's probably quite a few cars that are out there on the market advertised for certain prices that dealers probably know full well they're not going to get. It's kind of irrelevant.
I don't, if you're running a dealership, a sports or supercar dealership, and someone says, I want to put my car up for sale or return with you, and the market is doing what the market's been doing for certain models within the last 6 months, where certain things have been doubling, like Superleggers, for example, you might just chance it. You might say, you know what, I'll put it up for sale or return, and if it sells for crazy money and I make a ridiculous commission, so be it. You'd almost be stupid not to do it, like, in this market.
I think it's almost quite good marketing as well, isn't it? It's kind of promotes you. If there's, for example, if you've got a 430 Scud, there's probably only one or two on the market now. I don't actually know, but I imagine there's only like 2 on the market maximum. People are probably searching, out of curiosity, searching what 360 Challenge Stradales are, and then they go, oh, I wonder what 430 Scuderias are, and then they look, and then they see there's only one on the market. And if you've got that one, people will be like, oh, it's at Amari. Like, Amari must be quite a serious dealer. Let me have a look at their stock and stuff like that. So it's quite a good marketing tool in some ways. So I imagine that's why they do it. Partly because of that, and partly because there might be some idiot out there who just goes, "I'll pay 500 grand for a 430 Scuderia, even though 6 months ago I could have paid 180 grand." So I think that, yeah, you're probably right, Ben. I think people do just chance it, and I think in the meantime, whilst the car's up there, it's like a marketing tool for them. Just kind of raises their profile a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, although occasionally I do look at those dealers, and whilst I don't, I have nothing against them for trying it, I sort of feel like, particularly when Amari does it, like I've bought a car from Amari, I bought my Ferrari from Amari, and I bought the FF. It was a tailor-made example, like really, really nice spec.
Yeah.
The service was terrible. Like,
Really?
Yeah, as in went up there. They couldn't care less about selling the FF. They were like, this is, it's so lowbrow compared to everything else they sell that, yeah, he wouldn't even come over. And, even though he was in the showroom, and I tried to have a conversation with him, he didn't seem to be interested. He was just wanted it out. He didn't even put it in the main bay that they sell the cars from. It was just in the garage bit as well. So it wasn't the same. I think a lot of those dealers think a little bit too much of themselves as well. And I think the ones that are putting the cars up for the crazy prices, because I saw Amari put up a Superleggera for like 350 grand, and it wasn't even low mileage. And I was just like, come on, mate. You're just like, you're trying to pull the wool over certain people's eyes, and just like,
to be fair, Amari don't
like
sell or return any cars, and they buy every car in cash.
They do.
They don't have financing on any of their cars. Every single car they buy is bought in cash. So
they do, yeah.
It's quite, they probably have the luxury of being able to keep a car in stock for a year.
As long as they want.
Worry about it, because there's no financing on it. So
they kept an STO once in for like 18 months.
Yeah, I remember that. The red one, yeah. Rosso Beer one. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, US market, funny.
Yeah. US market's crazy. They've got a lot of money. They don't know what else to do with it.
Yeah.
And when they start selling stocks, they start putting it into supercars. So it's an investment class of its own now, I think, to them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There you go.
I agree. I feel like last thing on that is, before we move on, is I also do feel like in the US, there's like, if you're rich, there's like almost like a status thing of being like, I spent $600,000 on this car. Like, it's like to be able to just tell your mates that you're that rich. I think that sort of thing is more American, whereas in the UK, I don't think people would go around gloating. Or if you did, you'd probably get called a knob by everyone that walks past you. But
it's true.
I think that's more of a status thing in the US, just to be like, I got a collection of cars that's worth $3 million. Like, it's a terrible American accent, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You know, one of those snippets is going to make the shorts, Elliot, for this week.
Oh dear, might have to AI improve my American accent then.
Oh
no, it's true. There's certainly different cultural flex, I think, when it comes to supercar ownership there.
Yeah.
Well, that probably brings us to our final topic, which is the most disappointing, shall we say, performance-focused cars we've driven. The topic says the worst, but run with it how you want. I've sort of got a suspicion. I know what you guys might go with, but I'll let you guys go first, and particularly Ben, as he's bought and sold so many cars that he's been disappointed in. He's probably got a few stories.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go for one that I don't think that you'll expect. I'll say I'm actually going to go for the Kia Stinger GT that I bought for Cherie as basically I had a B8 Audi RS4, which is also terrible, except for the engine. But the handling on that car is one of the worst I've ever felt in a modern sports car. And I sold it and bought this Kia Stinger GT. There was a variety of reasons why, but Shree was going to use it. She didn't like the RS4, so I got her this instead. And it felt massive. Like, and bear in mind that at the time, the person who developed that car, I think, had previously been in charge of the N division at BMW. So he created this car, and everyone said, "Oh, it was amazing." Even Doug DeMuro bought one of these cars and owned one for a year, but it was heavy. There was zero sound to that car. It was a V6 that did amongst the worst fuel economy I've ever had for a V6, and no noise, no steering feel. Just, yeah, didn't like it. It was terrible.
Well,
And
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure quite a few people would have told you that before you bought it if you'd consulted us beforehand.
It's true.
Yeah.
So there you go. One of mine is one that you've just mentioned there. I've got two. One of them is the V8 Audi RS4 / Audi RS5. Because I agree with you. I wrote down then, great engine, great gearbox, terrible steering, terrible suspension. Which, just to give everyone a flavour of how bad I do think that car is to drive. Even though it does have a delightful engine, you know, that beautiful V8 naturally aspirated engine, and the gearbox is actually really good. The suspension and steering are so bad that you just don't care about the engine, which is like, it's sacrilege when you've got such a nice V8 naturally aspirated engine. Like, the steering in that car, I've literally never driven anything still to this day that is less communicative than that steering is. It's just completely lifeless. It's almost like it's disconnected from the car itself. And then the suspension it's an active suspension, so there's, you know, you can put it in dynamic mode or comfort mode, and okay, it's not too bad in comfort mode, but in dynamic mode it's literally like, I've spent time in a Lamborghini Huracan STO and it's less comfortable than that car. It is like shockingly bad, and it just makes the car completely lifeless to drive, completely unenjoyable to drive. So that's confidently one of mine. And the other one, which maybe is a bit surprising to some people, is for me at least, is the Aston Martin DB9. I drove that quite a while ago now, but I remember being quite excited to drive it because you know, Top Gear put it in the Sub-Zero category on the Cool Wall, and Jeremy Clarkson loved to bang on about how good the car was, and there was that episode where they raced it across, I can't remember where, but you know, raced it against a plane or something like that. And I drove it and I was just like, this car's terrible. It was like, the only good thing about it was like, it sounds quite nice when you rev it out, but the gearbox was absolutely atrocious. It was like really lazy. It had the sort of sport shift, I think they call it, or something like that, paddle shift gearbox, super lazy, just unengaging. The car handled really quite poorly. The suspension was soft and like wallowy, it wasn't a sports car. It was just some ordinary car. The suspension was terrible. Made all four wheels feel like they were completely sort of just floating around somewhere near the bodywork. So I really did not enjoy that. And I'd say that the only decent thing about it is maybe the way it looks and the way it sounds. So for me, that's in my DB9.
You might have been driving a very ropey one after many years of abuse, compared to when Clarkson got in every.
Back then, it was only a few years old. It was a long time ago.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
It was not long after the car had actually been released. Like maybe it was like 3 or 4 years old. So.
Oh, okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's a car that definitely disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of, you know, when you drive a base model of a car, like you drive a Cayman and then you get in a GT4, and cars that feel like they just need more engine in them and they just sort of feel underpowered. So you could think of the Supra. There's a 2-liter one, right, versus the straight 6, and it just needs more engine when you've been in the base model. or the other famous one is the F-Type P300, right? But it wants the V8 in it. When you get in that car, it just feels, it looks like it's going to deliver theatre and be fun to drive, but you can't feel anything but disappointed when you're driving that car. Again, the other one we talked about, the Lotus Emira, again, not having the supercharged V6, if you've been in that car, you're just always going to feel like it's compromised and it's underpowered. So the redeeming thing about all of those models is there is a better version of it. You've just gone for the base car. But yeah, those were the cars that came to my mind. I think I'm not a huge BMW fan, so a lot of people will disagree with me. But having, I talked a while ago in the podcast about getting into an M2 comp and expecting it to be more engaging and thrilling and feeling a little bit like it was too sterile and too predictable and too Germanic in some ways. Even though I drive Porsches and I love Porsches, I feel like it's too clinical. And it didn't excite me in the way that I kind of hoped. But again, it was an auto. I think I need to try the manual and see how I feel in a manual. But it doesn't disappoint because it still has a lot of performance, and it's still a great car in terms of performance and how it to weight. But yeah, I think those would be the cars that I think about, having been in sort of base model Caymans and driven those, and then if you get into the GT4, it's very different. So
yeah, fair enough. That's maybe those are more like disappointing or like fell short of expectation rather than worse.
It's more that, I would say. More that.
Because I personally think that the M2 is actually a good driver's car. It's just I thought it was going to be more than it was. But it's still a good car, whereas the B8 RS4 is just not a good car. I think we're going to just have to not allow any RS4 members into the club now, because otherwise they're just going to listen back to these podcasts and just think, man, these guys hate me. This is a personal attack on me.
Why did they let me in? Why did they let me into the club and make me subscribe to this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, usually at the end of the podcast, we do a members car of the week, but we actually haven't had an event this week. But I am hosting the drive on Saturday to Caffeine and Machine. I think TJ, you're going to be in South Africa, and Elliot, you're going to be in Belgium. But we've got a full lineup of cars, and we've got some cars that we've even discussed today. We've got a 430 coming on it, which will be cool, amongst a lot of other great cars. So I will report back on what is the best members car of the week, but we'll have to wait until next week for that one. But otherwise, TJ, you typically do our closeouts for the podcast. Is there anything else we need to discuss, or should we allow the listeners to go about their day?
I think we can allow them to go about their day. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop in the comments what's the worst performance car you've ever driven, and we'll see you soon. And hopefully some of you will be joining our Wales trip in August as well, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks or so. But we'll see you at something soon, and take care and have a good one, guys.
All right.
See ya.
Bye all.
All right.
Take care,
Bye.
man.
Bye.
Bye.